Welcome back. This is Robin Minds. Before we went on the break, we were discussing about the real estate industry and how it's very important for us to do our due diligence. So we just to make sure that the government doesn't demolish our buildings after investing our hard-earned monies into it. Right about now, it is time to talk about the state of the nation. It is very sad that most Nigerians cannot even afford 3 square meals anymore. In the past, we would say that Nigerians are known for suffering and smiling. But right now, I can categorically state that Nigerians are now known for suffering and they are not smiling. How can we navigate through such tough times? What can be done? How loud should our voices be to make sure that things get better in this nation? How patient should Nigerians be? Joining me on Zoom to discuss the state of the nation is the Executive Director, Connect Hub NGR, Rinu Oduola. Welcome, Rinu. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much for having me.
Let's just jump straight into it. We have never had a worse time in this nation than what we're facing currently. The prices of food has skyrocketed. Obviously, fuel is so expensive. Foreign exchange keeps climbing, and we cannot get to hold and stabilize the naira against the dollar. Where do we go from here?
Thank you very much. And I think that this conversation is important to have now. We're not the only ones having these conversations. You can see several Nigerians across the regions are also complaining. But I like to start from the fact that, you see, people who won elections by cheating the people will continue to cheat them even when they get in power. And that's what we're seeing now. No one gets to power through disputed results, voter disenfranchisement, violence, highly divisive messages, and suddenly brings about good governance. And I think that is also a shame, and Nigerians need to sit down and think that after the 8 years of maladministration of the former President Buhari, we're still going, through this. And if the few months that we've had now in this new government is anything to go by, if they're going to guide towards the future, there's little room for hope. There seems to me, I feel like there seems to be little thought on how to manage the consequences of catastrophic policies or how to minimize pains of Nigerians. And you can see that this current government, what is most prevalent about what they do is that they talk without thinking, and the consequences come back to lie on the Nigerian people. The government is yet to come up with any major economic policy direction. All they do is to make pronouncements and then go back. It is clear to the Nigerian people that this is a government of trial and error and diminishing hope. And Nigerians should ask themselves, Nigerians, we should ask ourselves, are we seeing any evidence of the government in our lives? Looking back at the 100 days or more of this current president, will it be safe to say that this government is for us? The first error that started was on subsidy. Subsidy was gone. Meanwhile, there was no thinking about managing those consequences. There was going to be some work done on terrorism, on the Special Enforcement and Monetary Unit. Nigerians are yet to see that. The student loan bill, the students are yet to get the loans, but schools, universities have already increased their fees. Another policy of catastrophic proportions. On terrorism, again, different groups have continued to kill Nigerians across the country. I think that one statement that I remember that this current government, the president said, was that, we will discourage corruption. But are you seeing that? We would have said that, maybe a total war on corruption would have helped this government. But when we talk about corruption, the representative of this government have never been known to be great fighters of corruption. Neither have they said anything memorable about it. We would have said a war on security would have brought about some succor to Nigerians. But with the choice of people like the ex-governors Matawale and Muhammadu, who have been appointed as minister and minister of state for defense, who have no security pedigree, how do we have hope in security? There are abductions across the country, crime is increasing, kidnappings are increasing, terrorists are regrouping, and recently I think that over 30 soldiers of the Nigerian military were even killed in Niger State. So I don't know, one that I can remember is that women and youth will feature prominently in this government. Please, are you seeing that? In fact, the current status that the World Bank representative in Nigeria said that 4 million extra people have been moved into multidimensional poverty. This is in addition to the 133 million people that are there again. I can go on and I can round up, but my point is that there have been talk from this government, but no credible actions, no tangible results. The living standards of Nigerians have decreased. No positive results. Nigerians are yet to see any lasting policies and solutions. Thank you.
All right. So, Rinu, I understand where you're coming from and I understand your pain because obviously a lot of us feel that same pain. But also, do you think it's rather too soon to actually give this government a scorecard, owing largely to the fact that, like you said, there was a lot of mismanagement in the previous administration, and in as much as it is the same political party, which is still the APC, this is a different individual with a different team, and they are trying to bring up different policy. So, do you think do you think we should give them the benefit of doubt to actually see how these things, come through, because it might not happen overnight?
Thank you for also agreeing that, it's the same party, it's the same people. Even with the appointments that we've seen recently, you can see ex-governors are being recycled, political, what do you call them, assistants are being given other positions. It's the same cycle of political actors that previously performed woefully in the last governments that have been reinstated in this government. And how do you give a presidency that emerged under fraudulent circumstances the benefit of the doubt? I mean, the core of the foundation of democracy is that there is to be rule of law, there is to be respect for the people's will that is expressed at elections. And so when these two things are missing, there's no amount of benefit of doubt that you will be able to place on that foundation that will make the building stand. So if we're to even give any benefit of doubt, just like the question I said earlier, the last 120 days or so, if anything is to go by, are they promising? Do they look promising for Nigerians? The campaign tagline of this presidency, of this government, was said to be renewed hope. But the only thing Nigerians are seeing currently is diminished hope. The only thing Nigerians are seeing currently is diminished bank accounts. Even our money in their accounts are no longer what the value they are yesterday. You have no peace of mind waking up anymore because your 500 naira could have turned to 400 naira or 300 naira by the time the day begins. And if you're talking also of benefit of the doubt, like I said, you will see actions. One will expect that a government that is serious about tackling challenges, like you said, this person is a new president, right? One expects a government that is serious about tackling the challenges from the previous government to form a government of talent. And like they promised, we will see technocrats. Like there was overhyped narratives on how, Lagos was developed. But if you look at the government that has been formed, it is mediocre, it is bloated, it is consisting of cronies and political allies, and it just screams of political rewards to everyone. So I do not think that there should be any person expecting anything new. It's the same government. It's the government of the rich, of the corrupt, who's already serving the elites, and they will continue to do so. Thank you.
Okay. Now, you did make a statement because you said the current president got to power through fraudulent means. I'm sure you're aware that the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, has affirmed his presidency. As an individual, don't you think we should respect the decisions of the Supreme Court and also try to, in the spirit of patriotism, see how we can actually move forward from this point? What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you very much. I definitely do think that, yes, I have followed the Supreme Court's judgment, and I definitely do think that, yes, the Supreme Court judgment should be respected, but that doesn't stop citizens from saying the facts. And the fact is that this government did emerge on a fraudulent mandate. I think that if you analyze the elections that just happened, over 60% of the electorates who voted in the elections never voted this president in the first place. So, we can always go back and bring Nigerians and say, these elections, do you think they were fraudulent or not? We all know what Nigerians would say. I just think that, as for me, there needs to be some advices from people towards the government at this point in time. Ever since the Supreme Court has ruled their case, it is obvious that this government would, despite all court cases, despite all arguments, despite all rationale, thought that this government will be in place for at least for the next 3 years. I think that there needs to be...
Sorry to interrupt you because we're almost out of time, but there's a pertinent issue I really want to hear your thoughts on. I'm sure you must have seen that millions and millions, billions actually, of our naira is being allocated to purchase of luxury cars, both from the upper chamber and the lower chambers, particularly the Senate. Now, the Senate is comprised of different political parties, the PDP, the APC, the Labour Party, and the newer parties are being perceived to be the voice of the people because we just believe that the people that ran with those platforms would really they don't have godfathers and they didn't have a lot of political embargo on them. And we were really hoping that they would represent the people. But we've not heard anybody from all those newer parties, the Labour Party and other parties, even speak against these overspending in the higher chamber. What are your thoughts on it?
I very much still believe that many of the people, even from the new parties who now are in the Senate and all of that, ran on people's goodwills to win the elections. And then now that they are there, it seems like we have returned back to, the cost Nigerian style of governance, where none of these representatives would even say anything. Nigerians are being asked to cut down on their living expenses, but their representatives are not cutting back on anything. How can you waste over 100 million to purchase cars for representatives and senators and all of that while claiming that Nigeria is broke? One would expect that with the prevailing economic climate across all parties, at least representatives who are also Nigerians will see that there is a need to cut down on the cost of governance, just like you asked. The director of the Road Transport Administration at the Federal Ministry of Transportation in August said that, Nigerians need to adopt bicycles to transport themselves. And then I asked myself, what about the senators? What about the representatives? Why are they buying cars rather than bicycles to transport themselves in a time where we are borrowing to fund our projects, borrowing to service our loans, we are buying cars? And this is definitely a trickle of the effects of the policies that come from the top. Look at the president. There have been cabinet members of over 50, and there is no indication that he's done. He has appointed over 10 aides whose jobs are to spin false narratives and propaganda. And then there was an estimate I saw that even at least 12 trillion can be saved from all these ministries, departments, agencies that have been created across all boards. So, you cannot spend billions.
Yeah. So Rinu, we're really almost out of time. We're almost out of time. So you're saying effectively that parties, irrespective of the parties that these politicians find themselves in, with the current crop of politicians we have in government, whether PDP, APC or Labour Party, are you basically saying they are all the same and we're not seeing any difference?
I do definitely think that the people who will suffer the brunt of any politician in any political party that is not speaking up at this point in time are Nigerians. And Nigerians need to understand that governments do not exist in silos. You cannot elect people in NNPP, in AAA, in ZZZ, and expect them to be good governance advocates without holding them accountable. So my advice would be the Nigerians who voted these guys into power, regardless of whatever political party, should start calling up their representatives. If you look at the current state of government, ordinary Nigerians are being kept at arm's length. Nobody is visiting communities in distress. Nobody is asking how their communities is. Nigerians should pick up the phone.
Rinu, we have to go now. We're now out of time, but thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely have you back. Thank you so very much for coming on Rubbing Minds. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show